Hello, everybody. Welcome at the information webinar of the fourth targeted call. I'm Judith, based in Barcelona, the headquarters of EIT Air Mobility. And today, with some others of my team, we will present to you the details about the call, the topics, and how to apply. This session is recorded. Just for you to know, this info webinar is not the only webinar of this specific call. Today we will share with you for 2 hours all the details on the topics and the application guidelines, but tomorrow we have a webinar specifically on the financial sustainability mechanism that we will touch briefly upon also today. And next week, we have somebody explaining to you intellectual property rights and the importance of this within our projects. All of these sessions will be recorded and will be made as soon as possible available on the call webpage. So what will we be speaking about today and whom will be speaking? So I will give you a very, very brief introduction to EIT Urban Mobility, in case you did not know us yet, and also how the innovation program through which this call will be funded plays a role. Then I will give the floor to my team of targeted officers, Laura, Adnan, and Andrea. They are the experts on the topics that will be funded through this call, and they will tell you all the details of the scope and why this is relevant for us. After that, we will go into the more details of the call requirements, what type of KPIs, what do we expect from you, and what is eligible and what is not. After that, Isabel, or program officer, will explain you more about how to apply, how our new application tool works, and how we evaluate. And after that, we have Mick joining to give us more details on our community and what is it to be a partners of ours and what are the benefits. Afterwards, we give the floor to you, so you can ask us any questions that you like. You can write your questions in the Q&A section, basically, and we will try to answer them. So, the introduction of EIT Mobility and our innovation program. So the EIT, the European Institute of Technology and Innovation, we are not the only ones, as you can see. We have some sister organization in different sectors. So the EIT was started in 2008 as part of the Horizon Europe program in order to stimulate the economy and to get innovations to the market within all of these sectors that you can see on this slide. We are one of the newer, what they call KICs, but we have many others. So we are part of a really big EIT community of innovators, just like yourselves. Specifically, EIT Mobility, as the name says itself, we are focused on improving mobility in cities, with, of course, the aim to make cities more livable urban spaces. So as you can see, as part of this course, this covers topics like more cycling, less cars, less emissions, etc. As part of this mission, we do different activities. The biggest activity is our network. So we are a membership-based organization with a very, very big ecosystem with which we do many different activities, networking, etc. But later, Mick will explain you a little bit more about that. Then we have a team focused on academy. So, of course, if we want to innovate, we need to have the right workforce in Europe. So we have a team dedicated to PhDs, master, and also more professional courses. And you can also see that we have a venture capitalist arm. So we invest in startups and we support these startups through different programs. Yes, and then this call is funded through our innovation program, so the yellow arrow that you can see, and we are basically having different types of instrument or programs through which we fund pilots and projects. So as the words you can see in the slide, commercially viable solutions, we work in the later stages of technology readiness level. And our aim is that to promote those solutions that support us in changing towards a more sustainable mobility for cities. And to give a bit of an idea of what type of projects we fund, because we are not necessarily the same as other funding bodies that you might know, is that we are challenge oriented. So we focus on projects that are a must have for the end clients or end users, such as cities or PTOs or operators. We work close to market, so we do not fund new innovation in that sense, but we rather fund the final development stages and the piloting and the preparation of market deployment. And that leads to the logical next conclusion, which is that we always have project with commercial partners and that we support those commercial partners in the commercialization effort. So innovation, impact, but also commercialization is a big element of our innovation projects. EIT Mobility exists since around 2019-20 that it was operational. So we have since then many pilots across all of Europe and many cities. So this is mainly due to the innovation program and what we fund. So this call specifically is funded through the targeted call within the innovation program, which is a call that complements our annual main innovation call. Whereas the main innovation call is a broadly scoped call through which we always get many and very variety types of applications. The targeted call tries to complement with having a more topic-based approach. So in other words, we try to define the topics based on market research we did and be much more specific in what we would like to fund and not fund, to complement our portfolio mainly, and also to try to really pursue where the innovation is happening and where the policy changes are, etc. Having said that, for this specific call, which is already the fourth one, so we already had three before with completely different topics. So here we are focused on four. The first one is on the supply of hydrogen, so hydrogen refueling stations. We have a topic on non-exhaust pollution, which is becoming more and more of a topic, both within road transport and rail. Then thirdly, we will focus one topic on safe roads with a focus on vulnerable urban road users. And lastly, we focused on the European cycling industry. Now, I'm not going to explain you those topics. I will give the floor to the experts. And I will start with Andrea, that will explain you more of the relevance and the scope of the hydrogen refueling station topic. Go ahead, Andrea.
Thank you, Judith. Thank you, everybody, to join this webinar. So, just a few words about the uptake of hydrogen refueling station for urban transport. If we can move on with the presentation, just to give you the context, the feedback of this topic and the topic relevance. As EIT Urban Mobility, we know perfectly that hydrogen can play a very important role in decarbonizing the transport sector. And so we consider that we need to help hydrogen diffusion in especially in the urban realm. So in this sense, one of the issues that we found for hydrogen diffusion, especially in a civil environment, is the fact that there is a lack of specific infrastructure for hydrogen diffusion in mobility and transport. So on the other side, we have this FA regulation that have been approved in February this year, that ask that European countries should deploy by 2030 a network of hydrogen refueling station. And we know how much difficult it is to get this definitive station in terms of money since they are very expensive, and in terms of time, because are really time demanding, and usually takes more than 1 year to get a station operative in these current conditions. So this is why we think that a potential solution for this problem is I mean, and also important for in the short and the mid term, is to help hydrogen diffusion with transportable and easy to deploy hydrogen refueling station. That is the next slide that I want to share with you. So Judith, if you can move on. So, and this is also the scope of this first topic. Basically, we know that in the market already exists this kind of product, meaning transportable hydrogen refueling station. The problem is that most of the product that we have right now commercialized in this sense are products that have been designed having in mind, I would say, the demonstration of hydrogen technology rather than be able to refueling a full fleet of hydrogen vehicles. So in terms of capacity of dispenser, for example, are very limited, and also the time for refueling the vehicles also are quite, I would say, long. So what we ask to the consortium that wants to apply to this first topic is basically to develop and having in mind to commercialize in the future a product that get closer to what are the requirements of the AFI regulation. So in this sense, we set a ceiling of 500 kilograms of per days of hydrogen that can be dispensed by this station, and of course that can improve some of the parameters that are defining right now the status of art for such kind of product. In the topic description, you have also a window in which is defined what is the current status of art for the hydrogen refueling station, transportable hydrogen refueling station, that we have, I would say, produced based on a benchmark of the market in Europe at least. And of course, since we are focused in not in a specific country, but rather in Europe, what we ask is that this product could be also exportable, deployable in most of the European territory. So not specific on a country, but rather in most of the territory. And in order to comply with this requirement, since the most of the European countries, still don't have a specific regulation on hydrogen refueling station, or if there is a regulation, is not harmonized throughout Europe, we have identified 5 countries that has already a specific regulation on this, and we ask participants to be compliant to at least 3 of the regulation that already exist. So this is very generally the description of the topic, the first topic. Of course, in the call manual, you have additional details, and you can contact Judith or directly me related with the topic 1 in case you have additional doubt. So I give the floor to the second topic. I think the non-exhaustive emission to Adnan. Yeah.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. So yeah, I'll be presenting. My name is Adnan. I'll be presenting the second topic, which has to do with non-exhaust emissions, particularly mitigating these emissions in the context of urban transport. So a bit on the topic relevance. Just move this a bit. So one thing that is key to first to explain is what is non-exhaust emissions. As the name suggests, is any emission that comes from sources other than the exhaust of cars. Typically, we talk specifically in the case of road transport, but it also includes rail transport. In the case, for example, of road transport, we already know that by currently both PM10 and PM2.5, which is particulate matters below 10 microns, are higher in Europe than from non-exhaust than exhaust. So that would be tires, brakes, and road particles. And by 2050, that's when basically there will be almost full electrification. The expectation is that non-exhaust emissions will be 90% of the particles emitted by road transport. This has both a negative impact both on health and environment, according to the latest research. And in the context, we have EU regulation that is addressing these issues. So directly, we have Euro 7 that has been recently adopted, which is the first regulation globally to set limits on non-exhaust emissions. And the first phase in, at least for brake emissions, will happen in 2027. Beyond non-exhaust emissions, in particular, in the context of ambient air quality directives, there is work at the EU level to basically revise the directive so that they are closer. So the EU standards are closer to the World Health Organization's guidelines for 2023. The goal in Europe is to achieve zero pollution by 2050. Next slide, please. So the scope of this project is anything that participates in mitigating the sources of non-exhaust emissions. So we're talking both road and rail transport. We're talking, in the case of road, about tire, brake, and road sources or particle emissions. And then in the case of the rail, we're talking about the rail, the power line, the braking of the rail transport, but also any solution that has to do with resolving the problem in the closed and semi-closed environment. So the types of solutions that we're looking at will either be something that will participate in advanced air quality monitoring and PM emissions, specifically as they relate to non-exhaust emissions. Any solutions that participate at the reduction of non-exhaust emissions at the source, so better materials for the tires, better designs, for example, for brakes, solutions that participate at or that help filter non-exhaust emissions near the source. So any filtering or capture devices that are close to the emitting source, be it the brake or the tire, for instance, or anything that helps the removal of non-exhaust emission, particularly in the case of closed and semi-closed environments. So we're talking, for example, about metro or regional train stations or tramway stations in some of the cases where they are in semi-closed environments. So those are the types of solutions. We're prioritizing urban, or we're fully focused on urban transportation or transportation that passes in the urban environment. And this includes both people transportation, but also last mile logistics or logistics in general, waste collection, fleets, taxi fleets, for instance, or logistics fleets. any proposal should lead to tangible reduction on non-exhaust emission, or at least work that will help in the achieving that the removal or reducing of non-exhaust emissions in urban transports. I think this should be it. Yeah. Thank you.
Go ahead, Laura. You can present the next topic.
Okay, hello. Hello, my name is Laura Val, and I'm responsible for the third topic about ensuring Vision Zero and safety for vulnerable urban road users. So the relevance of this topic is because since we are a European entity, we are aligned with the vision of the European Commission in terms of safety in roads. So the vision of the of Europe in terms of safety is that we want to arrive to zero facilities by 2050. But also we have a midterm goal, which is reduce the fatalities by half by 230. This, however, in the last years, the number of fatalities has been decreasing over the past decades. However, it has arrived a point, we have arrived to a point that in the last few years, the number of fatality is stuck. It is not decreasing anymore, probably because the roads obviously are safer than before. But also we want to take advantage of the opportunity that the intelligent transport systems can provide to our roads. And they have emerged these ITS systems like a potential solution to create new measures and new solutions to reduce the number of collisions and fatalities in urban roads. The complex of cities is getting, the complex of transport in cities is getting more and more complex because now we have scooters, people is cycling, also pedestrian, and it's becoming more and more complex all the time. So we think that including intelligent systems that can help the road authorities to operate and to maintain the road, and also to even to design different sections of the road, can help to decrease this death and also serious injuries. And also it will help to pave the way for autonomous vehicles in a future. Can we move to the next slide, please? So what we are looking for here is we are looking for solutions that can proactively prevent collisions on the cities, on urban roads in general. We are looking for solutions that are innovative, that are scalable, and can be adaptable to different types of cities. This solution should be really focused on the safety of the vulnerable road users. That means pedestrians and cyclists, because they are the ones that are suffering most of the injuries inside the cities. And in any kind of accidents, there's a 70% of fatalities that involves pedestrians. So we want to make our cities safer. We also are looking for solutions that are cost effective and that do not disrupt a lot the daily operation of the cities. Also, depending on what kind of solution, if we are looking for a solution that is valid, that requires an extensive training for AI, then we will ask for at least 2 cities to be tested and validated, so we can have enough data, enough different data to validate the solutions. However, if the solution does not require an extensive training, it can be enough with just 1 city, although it has to be justified, duly justified in the proposal. So in general, basically what we are looking for is for solutions, intelligent transport system solutions that can help the road authorities and operators to reduce the fatalities and severe injuries on our European cities.
Great, thank you, Laura. We go to the 4th topic that is should be led by our colleague Marcin, but since he is happily on holidays, Adnan will tell you more about this specific topic. Adnan, go ahead, please.
Hello again. So yeah, this topic, as the name suggests, is about improving the competitiveness and the sustainability of the European cycling industry. So the relevance of the topic is really about the tendency and the push that we have at Europe right now, especially with the European Declaration on Cycling, to encourage the use of cycling as not just a mode of leisurely transport, but also a fully fledged mode of mobility. And it's a strategic priority in Europe right now, being one of the most sustainable, accessible, inclusive, and also cheap and healthy ways of transport. So the biking or the cycling industry in Europe contributes to about 21 billion euros of the EU GDP, generating about 1.3 million jobs. It is also one of the major contributors in saving greenhouse gases emissions, and it's now part of the EU industrial strategy, together with other forms of transport such as automotive, waterborne, and rail. So obviously with this comes the need for innovation, as there's a growing share of e-bikes that are creating right now several opportunities, both for from an industry perspective, but also for new services and business models. This includes a need for developing digital solutions and battery innovations. Another thing is encouraging services related to e-bikes, like fleet management or leasing, repairability, etc. So within this topic, we have three subtopics that we've identified as priority to encourage the competitiveness of the European cycling industry. One of them is the batteries for like means of transport, so not just for e-bikes, but for this sector in general. The other part is new services and business models. As I mentioned, things related to leasing, repairability, recyclability of battery components, etc. And then anything that has to do with the sustainable local manufacturing. So that's the last part, the recyclability of the battery components and so on. I believe this is the last slide.
Yes. Thank you, Adnan. So as you can see, we have these 4 topics, and for each topic we have reserved a different amount of EIT funding, at least indicative, because in the end it depends on the quality of submitted projects and the outcome of the evaluation process by the external experts. But approximately you can see that 1.5 million goes to the cycling industry, the hydrogen refueling station around 650,000, the non-exhaust emission 2 million, and the safety for roads 850. So in total, this call will distribute 5 indicatively. So now that you're a little bit more familiar with the topics, we go to the call requirements that I will explain to you. Quick reminder of the timeline. So it launched middle of August. The call will be open for 2 months, so we'll close the 15th of October in the afternoon. The evaluation process is approximately 2 months if you include the eligibility checks, the strategic fit evaluation by the external expert, the full evaluation, and then the final step, which is the selection committee. But we will tell you a little bit more about the evaluation process later. So the end of November, we would communicate the results. which would mean that we start December by what we call the condition clearance. It's, for instance, we would like you to lower the budget for this. Could you clarify that? Maybe you should consider that as basically a moment in which we make certain demands and changes in the project if necessary, and also where we do some negotiations which concern the financial sustainability, the return of investment. And so in 2025, we can finally do the fun work, which is the project implementation, for which you have 1 full year. Now, a little summary of how these projects look like. A typical targeted project is between 2 and 5 partners. 2 is really the bare minimum. Some project might be slightly bigger, but it really has to be justified what each partner does and why the consortium is of a specific size. So we cannot do a one-fits-all for our projects. One thing that is obligatory is that it should be international. So at least 2 countries from the EU or Horizon Europe associated countries. If you do not know what it means, in the call manual you find a link to which countries are included and which ones are not. In terms of project duration, like I said, it's 12 months, so from January to December. And in terms of funding, we fund a maximum of 65% of the total project costs. So the other 35% or more, of course, it can always be more, should be provided by yourself. And the 65% is usually around 300 and 700K, looking at the projects that we have already funded. But again, it highly depends on what you are. We have also smaller projects than bigger ones, but it should be justified why these resources are needed for that type of innovation. In terms of KPIs, it shows a bit what you have to do in the project. So the first step is, of course, developing and innovating. So developing your technology or service, which is the marketed innovation. The name says it themselves. You're coming with an innovation, not just an implementation. We don't fund projects just for usually we don't fund projects just for an implementation, but we want to see that something is happening, that you are actually developing something new or improved. And the word marketed means that you work on the last stages and the last stages before commercialization. In this call specifically, we allow that in some justified cases, you can, instead of the market innovation, have as a mandatory KPI startup created, but this is only valid when you have an existing solution that you would like to bring to a country in which this solution clearly is super innovative and does not exist yet. So replacing that KPI is only under that condition. So apart from developing your solution or setting up your new office, you need to do a demonstration. So that's the second KPI. We need to see a real life demonstration within an urban setting. In terms of return of investment, we go a bit more on that later, but we expect the projects that we fund that there is a return of investment. That is usually responsibility of the commercial partner. And all the partners that are not the EIT or Mobility member yet and are part of a winning project will become members once the projects get accepted. To go a bit more in detail about who can apply, so at least 2 legal entities from at least 2 EU member states, so it has to be international. So if you just have 2 partners, the minimum is to have 1 commercial partner. So that's the person of the company responsible for the commercialization of the solution and the FSM. And at least 1 demo host, which can be a company or a city or some other type of affiliated entity to a city. But it needs to be the end beneficiary or end client. And of course, you can have other roles if well explained why they are contributed to the common goal of the project, such as a technology expert partner, or an additional demo host is also more than welcome. To give a bit more tips, I would rather say for the consortium, you need to explain very, very well what each partner does, and it has to be very clear how they all contribute to the project and not have their own activity separate from the main goal, which is the solution development and commercialization and implementation, the demonstration. And the budget is divided accordingly and to the value that they bring. So there's always a commercial partner, like I already said before. Somebody has to be as a main goal to commercialize this product. So it cannot be that a partner is developing a project but does not have his interest to do something commercially after the project is finished. And they are also the ones responsible for negotiating and delivering on the financial sustainability. It has to be clear that the demo hosts are the beneficiaries of the future product or service, and that is also really something they need. It has to be a real, solving a real pain point. Not a nice to have, but a must have. The technology expert partner in some projects is very, very beneficial and competitive because they can provide specific technological expertise that the commercial partner or the solution developer might not have, or they can help to validate the solution or measure its impact, which is important as a use case for commercialization. Be aware that one entity cannot be both a commercial partner and its own demo host. It's logical, but it happens. And lastly, one of the partners or an additional partner should be the project leader and take up that role within the project. Technology readiness level, very clear, the solutions go from 6, 7 to 8, 9. So this is where we fund projects, not before. We don't do the innovation before it can be demonstrated or commercialized. There is the opportunity in the application form to upload video or other type of evidence to show the TRL level of your solution. Not mandatory, but recommended. And if you want to know more what TRL means, because it's a European language, there is a link here and also in the call manual that explains you exactly what TRL means. It's a quite abstract term, and it might be different for a software or hardware, but overall it gives you an indication of whether your solution is at the right level. I already explained you before the KPIs, but here you can see the full description of them. So I said it's either a marketed innovation or exceptionally the startup created as the core KPI. And on top of that is a demonstration KPI. All the other KPIs that you can select are competitive for you, but optional. So don't put anything in the project proposal that you cannot deliver on, because you shoot yourself in the foot, because if you cannot deliver on them, you can get budget cuts. But these things are also discussed in the condition clearance to make sure that what you have put in the proposal actually makes sense. And if you would like to know even more in detail what these KPIs means, that I would really recommend, so that you don't promise on things that you cannot deliver on. There is a list of KPIs that describe all of this on the call web page. Financial sustainability is a specific section in your application form. So you will basically get to choose between 3 types of mechanisms that depends on the type of commercial partner you are. The sales investment pathway, or you can create a new company. But I'm not going to go into details now, and also not answer questions today, because this will be all covered tomorrow in the FSM session with the right people that can actually help you to understand everything in detail. But I just wanted to emphasize that this part is very important for a competitive project. Together with the FSM, that is logical, is the intellectual property. What obviously we don't expect from you to have everything figured out in intellectual property, and also intellectual property, patenting, and these type of things only make sense or different sense for different types of solutions. But at least we want to see in your proposal you have thought about it, and that you understand what you can do, want to do, or have not done yet. So it is recommended that in case you did already a lot of work on this side of your company or solution, that you attach to the application some document explaining the FTO, the freedom to operate, or anything else, and that you really justify in the project how intellectual property relates to your solution and what you have thought about already. So even though it says here taking important steps, it depends on your company, on the TRL level, etc. But in general, we want you to know to understand your solution and to know what you can do and should be doing in the next time, in the future. Because of course, part of the project, and that I mentioned to you before, that we support the commercialization and the partners, that we also can advise you on certain things, but we want to make sure that you understand the nature of your solution. And lastly, is highlight the gender and diversity elements of the consortium, the people that are involved, and how you deal with this. This is also a very important element for us. And lastly, like I said in the summary of the requirements, once you get into an accepted project, so not before to apply, but once it gets accepted officially, you will go to the process of becoming a member, to which a fee is also connected. But of course, more importantly, many benefits are connected to that. And later, in 20 minutes or 40 minutes, our colleague Mick will join, that makes part of the ecosystem, and he will explain you exactly what are the benefits of becoming part of our ecosystem. Having said all of that, I will now give the floor to my colleague Isabel, the program officer, that will explain you more on the application and afterwards on the evaluation.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and also a good afternoon from my side. I will now give you as mentioned, a short overview of our new tool, Netsuite, that you will have to use for the submission of your proposal. So if you have had previously projects with EIT Urban Mobility, you are used to Plaza. This is not the submission tool for this call. So here we will always recommend you please make sure to register early on a new platform, have a look at it, and get familiarized with it. Reach out to us as early as possible so we can help you in case you encounter any issues. For the registration, there are 3 steps that you should keep in mind. First of all, this is for new applicants, new partners. So if you haven't had any EIT Urban Mobility project before, please be aware you need a PIC number. The PIC number is assigned on the EU funding and tender portal. So you will have to register there first. Once you have this PIC number, you can then register on the Netsuite platform using the partner information form. So you will have a page where you will have to fill out the information, and then you will get access to our Netsuite platform. In case you had already a Plaza account, you do not have to submit the PIF form again. So instead, please contact our EIT Urban Mobility service desk, and they will give you the access for the Netsuite platform. And then once you have this access, you can log in on Netsuite and you will find the targeted call under menu, call for proposals, open calls. For the next slide, I think, yes, we are ready at the live demonstration. So we thought the best way to show you how to do the proposal submission is to do a live demonstration. So we can show you how you find the call, how to create a proposal. So let me share my screen. So I guess you can all see my screen now. You will, as I said, the call you will find on the menu, call for proposal, open calls. If you click here, you will find all of our currently open calls. And to apply to the targeted open call, you will have to click on the apply button next to it. This is still a new system, so there are sometimes some loading times. Please be patient. It's just creating a new application form, but then it will appear. You will have the different tabs with main information, partner information, project scope, work plan, supporting documents, and budget. We recommend you to also fill out the application form in that order. First of all, on the first page, you will have to indicate which topic you're applying to. You will have to assign a project title, acronym. Then you will have to also indicate the project start date. Here, please be aware that we fund 12 months projects, and they cannot end later than December 2025. So this is the latest date. So if you have the 12 months project, it has to start on January 1st and has to run until end of December of 2025. You will have the budget overview here. This is pre-filled automatically depending on what you fill out in the budget section. You will have to add like a summary of the project. You will have to select at least 3 keywords out of this list, for example, something about innovation. You can select them, and then you have to also add 3 self-defined keywords. You can just write in here what makes most sense, and then with enter you can add them. What we also recommend always is like when you swap between the different tabs, please make sure to always save as a draft, just to make sure that you don't lose any information. Yeah, and then you can get to the next tabs. So for the partner information, please be informed that for all of the application forms, the project leader and the email address is automatically assigned based by whoever clicks on the apply button. So please make sure that the project leader is the one who creates the application form. You will be able to add new partners to the project. For this, you will need the PIC number. Then again, we come back to the reminder of the PIC number is always relevant because this is also what will be used to add a new partner to the proposal. So you won't be seeing anyone in the list until you really add the whole 9 numbers. So please collect them to add your partners. You cannot search them by the name or any other number. You will have to use the PIC number. You will have to add a partner description, what the partner does, and yeah, you can add all the relevant partners here in this list. Again, they must be registered first. If they are not registered, you won't find them in this list. Then you will have to indicate if any partners are linked to each other. And then in case you want to add a co-editor, this is also possible as it was in Plaza. Here you will have to input the email address of the co-editor, and the co-editor must be already registered on NetSuite. So it's not just possible to add an email address. You have to actually, they must be registered, and then maybe there's a typo, but once you add the name, you will also find them in a drop-down and you will be able to add them. Again, probably because I clicked on the wrong name. You will have to save as a draft in between, just to not lose any information. For the next tab, which is called Project Scope, you will be able to reply to all the questions of the application. You will be able to describe the main objectives, the scope of the project. Here, you will also have to explain how your proposal will align with the topic that you have selected. You have the different topics. You can describe the work plan, please make sure to respond to them sufficiently, and you will also always have the character limitations on the side. Please be aware the character limitations include spaces as well. And the red star will indicate if that question is mandatory or not. For example, the startup created question is if you have decided to contribute to the KPI 4.4, you should also answer to this question. If you have decided to do more than one demonstration, you can also describe it under additional city demonstration. Under risk management contingency plan, you will be able also to add any risks that you have identified for your project. So to add one, you click on add, then you can add which type of risk it is. You can add title, you say like the likelihood, you give the impact, the description, and your mitigation plan. The same here with each line, you can always add a new one. So it's not just one row. You can add as many rows as you have identified risks. Coming to the financial sustainability part, here you will have the additional webinar coming up later on. But here you will be able to also identify the commercial partner or as many commercial partners as you have in your project. Here you will have to select which partner is the commercial partner. You will have to select the financial sustainability mechanism. You will also have to provide certain numbers of the partner organization, how many employees they have, how much turnover they had the last 2 years, what are the balance sheets, total liabilities and shareholder equity. So you will have to provide this information. Then you will have to add which results will be commercialized. And then you will also have to provide a short description of this plan. And then you can save it, and then it will be added here. And as I said, you can add as many partners here as you have commercial partners. And then the last part of this page is ethics and security. So here, if you have any indicators, you can click on yes, and then you will have to fill out the further information, like what is relevant. For example, you work with personal data. So here you say, for example, okay, we will use personal data in the project. As such, we have, for example, a data management plan. And then also save as draft. In general, for this page, as it is quite long and you might take some time to fill it out, please be aware that the system does log you out after some time of not clicking anything. So here we recommend you, as it might take some time to work offline. We have created a template form with the questions that you will find in this application form. So you can work offline first and then add all the information once they are final. Coming to the work plan, this was previously called on Plaza tasks. So here you will add work package name. For example, we add one. We will just give some text. Please be aware that the dates cannot be before the project start or after. So you can put, for example, the entire project length. Then you will have to add the work package leader. And then you also have to add the contributors. So for example, we add the 2 partners. Please make sure to always add the work package leader as well here again, as well as any other contributors. And then you have to describe quickly what are the role of the partners. And why is it important to add the partners to the work package directly? It is because only where you have added partners to the work package will you be later able to add the budget. So for example, both partners are in work package 1, and as such, both of those partners can have costs in work package 1. I will come back to the budget later on, but this is just an important reminder to always add everyone that has costs in that work package. Once you have created the work packages, you can add as many as you want. You can also add the deliverables. So here, for example, you add the product plan, you put the product plan description, and then the achievement date is, for example, month 3. That would be 31st of March 2025. And then you can add all the deliverables here. The outputs, it's what we also had already in Plaza. You will put for example, the 2.4 new product. You add the description. The output is likely to be achieved end of the project. You will add who is contributing to it. For example, everyone is contributing to it, then you add it as such. Milestones is something new that has not been in Plaza before. So what we expect here is just important milestones during the project. For example, when you have requirements collected or something that will help you to understand, okay, you have reached a very important point in the project, so we can follow easier your progress of the project directly. Again, you will have to add on the title, description, when will it be expected to be delivered, and who is contributing to it. And then the last row is the KPIs. So as Judith has already mentioned, we have several KPIs that are mandatory for the project. For example, if you have the EAT 2.4, the list unfortunately is still quite long, and hopefully we will be able to reduce it in the future. But here you will have to look up the right KPI. The title and description will be automatically updated. You will have to add an explanation. Then for 2025, you will have to put the target value, when you will be able to achieve it, for example, end of the project. And again, who is responsible, who is contributing to it. And that's it for the work plan part. Again, please remember to click on Save as Draft. And then it takes some time to reload. And then you're sure to have saved all the information. Under supporting documents, you will see that you will be required to upload the business model canvas. We have the template on the call website, so look it up there. And then you will have the spot to upload the freedom to operate, the declaration if it's applicable, and other supporting documents. Also, we have you have the possibility to add an URL here. If you have a video of your product or solution, you can edit here. And now coming to the last part, which is the budget. As I mentioned, this is tied to the work plan. So here you will only see the work package that you have created for the partners that you have assigned. So the first tab is the total budget project, and it's like here you will see the summary of everything below. You can hide it by clicking on it. And then you will see the different partners. So you will see the name of the partner, and then you will have the possibility to add the costs for this partner. For example, you have the personal costs, then you will have some subcontracting. For example, you're planning to travel to some consortium meetings, for example, you can add this information. It will automatically sum up and add the indirect costs. You will then have to also indicate how much EIT funding you're getting and how much co-funding you are putting. So for example, EIT funding, as we said, there should be a minimum of 35% of co-funding. So you can put 65 is expected to be EIT funding. If you will pay the rest yourself, it means you have partner own funding. So it would be here 35%. In case you will only pay 10% of the cost yourself, and then you get other funding, for example, from a national funding authority, then you can add the cost there as well. Here we have to indicate what it is and then add the source. Also, another information, please be aware that you also have to add the description for the personal costs and any other costs that you have added. Just like a quick explanation, you will be subcontracting development, for example. You will be traveling to the consortium meeting, and you can add a short description here. And then you can do the same thing for partner B. Again, some description. Not doing it too extensive budget here. And then I put EIT funding is, 65, and the partner funding is 35. So, and then you can save it as a draft. And then, as I mentioned, you will have the total budget overview. So this is for the entire consortium. It's all summarized on top. So you will find it here. And then also under the main information tab, as I said, you will see the total budget of the entire project, as well as the percentage of the total EIT funding and the co-funding. So here you can make the last double check if you have calculated the co-funding correctly. As we said, minimum is 35. And yeah, that's it. Obviously, I have not filled out all the mandatory sections, so I won't be able to submit. But in theory, like once you have it filled out, you click on submit, you will have to confirm that you're ready. And then there will be like a pop-up window where you have to say yes, you agree to leaving the site. And then there will be a confirmation that the submission was successful. Also, please be informed that unlike in Plaza, you won't be receiving a confirmation email that the submission was successful. But if, for example, you have not completed the application form and you click on submit, you will see the many things that are missing. So of course, like as I haven't filled out a lot of things, it's a very long list, but in theory, it's kind of a validation list of what are you missing, what not. And then just so you understand also, how does it look like? So if you have saved your application in between, you will find the application under call for proposal, my applications. You will see the status here, the name of it with the ID, etc. And then other CFPs, for example, if I was assigned as a co-editor to it, and then you will see the difference between statuses submitted or in progress. And yes, that's it for NetSuite. And now just some tips and tricks that you should keep in mind for your submission Again, it's a new tool, so we really ask you to familiarize yourself with the tool. Make sure that all the partners that you want to have included in the project, that they are registered on NetSuite as soon as possible. We also recommend to start creating and filling the application form at least 3 to 4 weeks before the submission deadline. So sometime soon, please have a look at least, create the application form so you have the time to get to know the system, and also reach out to us in case you have any doubts or questions. We are here to help you, and yeah. As we have mentioned, there is a template available where you can find the questions of the application form. You can fill it out, work on this one, but don't wait until the last day to copy and paste it into the system. We don't know how it is when a lot of applicants do it at the same time. So to avoid any issues here, do it whenever you have time. If you have co-editors, we recommend to only use one user at a time. So don't work in parallel in the same application form. The budget tab should be filled last because you won't see it if you don't have created the work packages. We recommend to save often just to make sure that you don't lose any information. Especially if there's a longer period of without activity, you might be locked out and there is no saving. And again, don't wait until the last day, so we have the time and opportunity to help you in case you have any issues. That's about the submission of the proposal. Coming to the evaluation process. So for the evaluation process, Judith already mentioned the timeline. So we do the admissibility and eligibility check in October. We have the evaluation by external evaluators running from October to November. We should be communicating the results end of November. And then in December, we should be in the conditions clearing phase, finalizing the last things so the projects can start in January 2025. So for the evaluation, there's two parts. Admissibility means that you have the proposal completed, submitted in time via NetSuite, and it's all in English with all the mandatory sections and all the mandatory attachments. So you have to submit by 15th of October, 5 p.m. And you have to fill out the application form and you have to upload and add the business model canvas. Just to keep in mind with the admissibility, no, sorry, next page. Thank you. So for the eligibility, what we will be checking is do all applicants have the full registration on NetSuite? Do they have the right PIC number? In theory, this should be now more straightforward with NetSuite. Because everything needs to be filled out within the first step. Applicants are from EU member states or third countries associated with Horizon Europe. For the consortium requirements, you have to have at least 2 independent entities from 2 different countries. There should be 1 commercial partner. The commercial partner is not the demo host, and there should be at least 1 demo host. And then all the proposals have the mandatory KPIs. So you have the market innovation or the startup created, and you have 1 demo, pilot, or living lab. The co-funding should be at least 35%, and you have uploaded the mandatory documents. So for the external evaluation, you will have 3 external evaluators assigned per proposal. They will have to rate the strategic fit, the excellence, impact, and implementation. So a total of 100 points can be achieved per project. please be aware that there is a first qualifying phase, which is the evaluation of the strategic fit. So there are 3 sub-criterions and criteria, and you have to at least achieve 3 points in each sub-criteria. So in case you have less, the project will be disqualified already in this stage. If you have passed the threshold, you will go on to the next second qualifying phase, where the other criteria will also be evaluated. And then you have the external just to be, you can find the details on the evaluation in the call manual. So you will find what the evaluators will have to evaluate, which questions they have to respond, how many points you can get per criteria. And be aware that the application form is aligned with the questions, and so please make sure that you answer all of the question in the best way possible. Okay?
Yes, thank you very much, Isabel, for explaining the application and the evaluation. In case there are any questions, we can do so after in the Q&A section of this webinar. But for now, I would like to give the floor to Mick, who is part of the ecosystem team, and he will explain you more about the benefits of being part of our community.
Yes, good afternoon. Can you hear me properly?
Yes, all good.
Great. Okay, let's get started. So by becoming a partner of EIT Urban Mobility, which will happen once you, of course, are selected, once the project is selected, then we offer also benefits to you. And as EIT Urban Mobility, we are the largest European innovation community for urban mobility. And as you can see, we have in our ecosystem more than 950 organizations, of which over more than 80 cities and regions. And we connect with large enterprises, SMEs, startups, NGOs, universities and research institutes, also EU institutions, and we have presence with and ties with national governments in 35 countries. And by becoming a partner, we enable you to speed your transition to a decarbonized urban transport system. So what we do with our partners is we offer them benefits based on match and connecting. So we connect private and public sector partners to access markets, talents, finance, and knowledge. We also bring innovation to markets by deploying market-ready solutions in cities. We boost startups to scale to foster growth for long-term impact. And of course, we train our next generation entrepreneurs through our education programs. So if you could go to the next slide, please. So we focus on innovations that most efficiently support cities on their way to net zero. And that's to say that we support you along this journey if you are a partner of EIT Urban Mobility. We have 5 specific areas of focus that we believe our community has the potential to contribute with a very high and significant impact. And as you can see, these 5 areas are addressed through EIT Urban Mobility funded projects, as well as activities funded from other sources. And they are focused on the topics of public transport, electrification, mobility data management, urban logistics, and health and mobility. If you could go to the next slide. Yes. So we create impact in cities across Europe. As you can see, we have run more than 250 pilots in more than 110 cities, and we facilitate existing innovations by doing this to reach the market faster. And we are unique in this, in implementing and supporting initiatives where cities and innovators test, pilot, and scale up new solutions. And most importantly, cities are at the heart of what we do. So we facilitate cities to deploy new solutions with the help of private sector and education partners to transition to a decarbonized and equitable mobility and transport system in Europe. And we help cities find, test, and implement the most appropriate solutions for their mobility challenges across Europe since our inception of 2020. So as you can see, we are a leading network for urban transport innovation across Europe. And we have offices and regional presence across Europe because we want to create impact by connecting all players in urban mobility. So we have our 5 innovation hubs or our 5 regional offices, and we are based in Barcelona, Copenhagen, Amsterdam, Prague, and Munich. And those are the main points of contact on regional level for you to get in touch with us and to get involved with our initiatives. Moreover, we also support regions and cities that traditionally have faced challenges to compete in the market through our regional innovation scheme. And currently, we operate 11 EIT Urban Mobility RIS hubs located in Latvia, Serbia, Slovakia, Romania, Croatia, Turkey, Malta, Greece, Portugal, Poland, and Hungary. And there are an additional 6 EIT community RIS hubs in Cyprus, Latvia, Malta, Montenegro, North Macedonia, and Ukraine. So we are an EU-funded organization innovating with more than 250 partners in 35 countries. And together we form the leading European network for transport and innovating in cities by being active across the continent. What we can offer you as partners is networking opportunities, which varies from strategic dialogue to business opportunities to also access to events. So first, we can foster public and private collaborations. If you are a partner of us, you will be in a network of different segments such as industry, SMEs, universities, research centers, cities, and other institutional stakeholders. Moreover, we support in matching the right solution to every city challenge with direct access to frontrunner urban mobility ecosystem in Europe, and also connecting and matchmaking with the right innovators for you to pilot and demonstrate purposes. Moreover, we have 2 big events for our partners throughout the year. We have our Partners Day, which varies on location every year. And this is an exclusive event for partners to get to know the network and also to participate in strategic dialogue. Moreover, we have our flagship event of Tomorrow Mobility, which is of course based in Barcelona, and we do in collaboration with Vira. Moreover, in the networking, we also offer you access to innovative solutions through our Mobility Innovation Marketplace, which is a one-stop shop for sustainable urban mobility solutions. You could go to the next slide. So by becoming a partner, our local team will support you to find opportunities for EIT funding, but also for non-EIT funding. EIT funding, of course, is done by providing access to tailored ideation and matchmaking activities, providing one-to-one support to build strong city challenge statements, but also as a partner, you will be able to participate in a project clinic program, which helps in the proposal reviews for submitting your call for proposal. And in this, we accompany you through the project life cycle development. So we provide support to our partners in the ideation, matchmaking, and consortium building and proposal review phase to apply for EIT funding. However, we also, apart from EIT funding, we also support in non-EIT funding. And we do this by identifying funding opportunities beyond the EIT funding for you. We do this by introducing partners in and forming consortia, bringing in urban mobility expertise and following up on proposal progress. We do this through strategic placements in our European, national, and regional initiatives. So we have ties to regional, national, and local initiatives such as Gaia-X, the new European Bauhaus, missions for cities, and net zero cities. And of course, our Horizon Lab team also can provide support for Horizon Europe, Digital Europe, and Connecting Europe facility. Also for local and national funding, you can go to our regional hubs for any other topics. Next slide, please. Moreover, we are an impact accelerator and investor. In 2003, we were the first and the most active mobility investor in Europe. And in 2023, we did 62 mobility rounds. And since our inception in 2020, we did over more than 120. As of now, we have 300 startups in our portfolio. We have supported more than 300 startups per 5 thematic areas and invested in more than 120. As you can see, we support in different areas. So we focus on the topics, again, where we think we have the highest impact, but also in that we explore within these topics the new business models which are emerging and also enabling the new technologies which are rising in the urban mobility markets. As you can see, our capital allocation split is 25% active mobility, 25% transport infrastructure, 25% sustainable city logistics, 15% mobility and energy, and 10% future mobility. What we also do is we try to close the knowledge gap and prepare the entrepreneurial talent of tomorrow. We do this by training professionals through our Competence Hub. And since our inception, we have trained more than 15,000 professionals. Moreover, we offer EIT Urban Mobility double degree for master programs. For PhD students, we have our doctoral training network. And we also provide a talent pool for internships. So by becoming a partner, you have different availabilities to boost your network, to boost your business opportunities, and boost your visibility as a partner. We have 3 partnership categories, silver and gold, which are exclusive to industry, university, and research centers, and leading cities, which are tailored specifically for municipal and regional partners. If you are a city or region, our partnership model can allow you to leverage our network of experts and funding opportunities to reach your sustainability goals. We can help you become a living lab for innovative mobility solutions to make a more livable city. You will have access to our city club to exchange knowledge with other city leaders and urban experts. You can strengthen your city's position as a mobility leader by participating in our educational programs and trainings. If you are a large enterprise or an SME, you can join our network of potential collaborators, customers, and investors to drive innovation and market expansion. You can gain direct access to a dynamic ecosystem that includes cities, innovative startups, solutions, and research institutions. You can extend your reach by showcasing your innovative products, solutions, and services, enhance your competitiveness, and increase recognition in the European mobility scene, and of course, stay up to date with industry trainings, educational programs, and thought leadership studies. If you are a university or research institute, we can establish for you strategic partnerships with leading companies and institutions to collaborate and find funding opportunities, engage masters and PhD students in cutting-edge mobility projects to boost entrepreneurship, gain recognition as a leading urban mobility institution to attract top-tier talent and opportunities. And we can make you stay up to date about the latest sector developments, opportunities, and educational resources, and connect with fellow thought leaders on our knowledge exchange platform. If you want to know more, you can find these benefits as well on our website. And you can always reach out to any of our contacts on regional level and also on central level.
Thank you, everybody, and have a nice afternoon.